The President. Members, Article 23 legislation is the constitutional duty of the entire Hong Kong SAR. We have already been dragging our feet for over 27 years in fulfilling this duty. So the government and the Legislative Council must work together to ensure the early completion of the legislative exercise. Now, the bill is of necessity and urgency in safeguarding national security. So the SAR government proposes that the Council speedily consider the safeguarding national security bill, including convening a special meeting for the first and second reading of the bill, and also for the early convening of meetings of the Bills Committee to consider the bill. I fully support the Chief Executive's suggestion. That's why today I convened this special meeting for the bill to receive its first and second reading. The chairman of the Bills Committee has also decided to convene a meeting this afternoon immediately after the first and second reading of the bill. It is to achieve the objective of completing the legislation as early as possible so that we can ensure national security is safeguarded effectively as soon as possible. Government Bill, first reading. Safeguarding National Security Bill. Second reading, Secretary for Security. President, I move the second reading of the Safeguarding National Security Bill. The bill. To fully implement the constitutional duty as stipulated under Article 23 of the Basic Law, the decision of the National People's Congress on establishing and improving the legal system and enforcement mechanisms for the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region to safeguard national security, that is the 528 decision, and the Hong Kong National Security Law, Hong Kong NSL. The Hong Kong SAR government hereby introduces the Safeguarding National Security Bill, the bill, into this council for scrutiny. This is an utmostly important step for the Hong Kong SAR to establish a legal system and enforcement mechanism and to ensure the effective safeguarding of national security. Article 23 of the Basic Law stipulates that the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region shall enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, secession, sedition, subversion against the Central People's Government, or theft of state secrets, to prohibit foreign political organizations or bodies from conducting political activities in the region, and to prohibit political organizations or bodies of the region from establishing ties with foreign political bodies or organizations. Article 3 of the 528 decision and Article 7 of Hong Kong SAR emphasize clearly that the Hong Kong SAR must complete legislation for safeguarding national security as early as possible and must improve the legal system and enforcement mechanism for safeguarding national security. The Hong Kong SAR must therefore enact the legislation as early as possible to fulfill its constitutional duty. There is also a genuine and urgent need to legislate for Article 23. The Hong Kong SAR has gone through the unbearably painful experience of having our national security seriously threatened, especially during the Hong Kong version of Colour Revolution and Black-clad violence in 2018. The geopolitics has become increasingly complex and national security risks remain imminent. The means to taken to endanger national security can come in many different forms, and the threat can emerge all of a sudden. Therefore, the SAR government must complete the legislative work as soon as possible to plug the national security loophole. The earlier we complete the legislative work, the sooner we can guard against national security risks. Having considered the content, the implementation experience, and court rulings in relation to the Hong Kong SAR and other relevant laws in safeguarding national security, the relevant laws and implementation experience of our country and other countries, and the actual circumstances in recent years in the Hong Kong SAR, the SAR government has formulated an effective and practical proposal. We conducted public consultation from the 30th of January to the 20th of February this year on legislating for Article 23. We held close to 30 consultation sessions. We also disseminated other publicity materials and information because we want the public to learn about the content of the proposal and to encourage the public to give their views. During the public consultation, we received supportive and positive views in 98.6% of the submissions. This shows that there is strong public support for the legislative exercise. The Security Bureau and the Department of Justice have been working speedily in recent days to analyze and consider views received from the public consultation so that we could complete the drafting of the bill. The Chief Executive in Council decided yesterday, that is the 7th of March, to gazette the bill and introduce the bill to the Legislative Council today. To complete the legislative work as soon as possible, the Chief Executive wrote to the President of the Legislative Council suggesting that the Council speedily commence the scrutiny of the bill and consider such means as convening a special Council meeting for the first and second reading and convening Bills Committee meetings as early as possible with a view to scrutinizing the bill and completing the legislative process at full speed. With the full support of the President of the Council, we are able to introduce the bill today for the first and second reading in this Council. We also have the support of the Chairman of the Subcommittee to study matters relating to Basic Law Article 23 legislation. The subcommittee will become a Bills Committee this afternoon and will proceed with the scrutiny of the bill at once. The arrangement is testimony to the concerted effort of the Hong Kong SAR Executive and Legislature in completing the legislative exercise as soon as possible. The SAR government is most grateful to the Council. The proposals in the bill adopt the following principles. 1. The highest principle of the policy of one country, two systems is to safeguard national security, sovereignty and development interests. 2. Human rights are to be respected and protected. The rights and freedoms, including the freedoms of speech, of the press and of publication, the freedoms of association, of assembly, of procession and of demonstration enjoyed under the Basic Law, the provisions of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights as applied to the Hong Kong SAR are to be protected in accordance with the law and free. For acts and activities endangering national security, there must be adherence to active prevention in accordance with the principle of the rule of law and suppression and punishment in accordance with the law. The bill covers the following aspects. The bill covers the preamble to state the legislative intent, the legal basis, and the duty of the Hong Kong SAR to safeguard national security. Apart from the preamble, there are 9 parts to the bill. Part 1 is preliminary, that covers the principles and interpretation of the bill. Parts 2 to 6 cover the proposed offences and the relevant provisions. They cover relevant provisions to improve upon existing legislation and also relevant provisions on newly proposed offences to effectively prevent, curb and punish various acts and activities that endanger national security, having regard to the actual circumstances and needs of Hong Kong. The 5 parts cover various offences, including Part 2, treason, etc. Part 3, insurrection, incitement to mutiny and disaffection, and acts with seditious intention, etc. Part 4, offences in connection with state secrets and espionage. Part 5, sabotage, endangering national security, etc. Part 6, external interference and organizations engaging in activities endangering national security. Part 7 of the bill, enforcement powers and procedure and legal actions, etc., in connection with safeguarding national security. Part 8 covers mechanisms for safeguarding national security and relevant protections. Part 9 of the bill includes related amendments, mainly on the necessary adaptation and corresponding amendments to relevant provisions in existing legislation. These proposals are spelled out in detail in paragraphs 10 to 70 of the Legislative Council brief. I would like to point out in particular that the bill has provided clear definition for various offences with appropriate exceptions and defence. And also, in accordance with the general principles of the criminal law, there is need to prove mens rea for the relevant offences. There is a need to prove that the defendant in carrying out acts or activities that endanger national security, have intention, knowledge, or act recklessly. And innocent people will not be caught by the law inadvertently. During the consultation period, we received various views and suggestions on the scope of application of individual offences, persons to whom the bill applies, penalty, defence, and so on. The offences in the bill are based on the proposed offences in the consultation document, and there is further refinement of the relevant offences, including the penalties. On the power of enforcement, judicial proceedings, and other in legal system measures in relation to legal system and enforcement mechanisms of and safeguarding national security, they are put forward after careful and cautious consideration. Then all the necessary conditions are listed out carefully. And there is also restrictions on powers given to different enforcement bodies. So the above measures all show that we every intention to protect human rights under the basic law. And we have prepared a document on the relationship between safeguarding national security and protecting human rights that's annexed to the Legislative Council brief. This afternoon, we look forward to explaining to members further the details of the bill at the Relevant Bills Committee meeting. We will fully support the work of the Bills Committee in completing the legislation, the deliberations early. On behalf of the SL government, I must thank the Council for its full support and cooperation. Under this House Committee, a subcommittee was set up speedily. 3 meetings were held to consider fully policy matters in relation to the proposed legislation, to the legislative proposals, and the subcommittee put forward various invaluable comments that are of immense help to our drafting of the bill. With these remarks, I ask members to support the Safeguarding National Security Bill, and I hope that you will complete the legislative exercise as soon as possible. The earlier, the better. Thank you. I now propose the question to you that the aforesaid bill be read a second time. In accordance with the rules of procedure, the second reading debate is adjourned and the bill is referred to the House Committee. I now adjourn the Council until 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 13th of March, 2024.
嘅小組委員會咧，而家已經變身成為法案委員會，亦都係緊接喺今日下午咧，就條例草案咧係展開工作。昨日我係收到行政長官嘅來信，去建議盡快去召開特別立法會會議，就條例草案進行首讀同埋二讀。事實上，《基本法》第23條立法係整個香港特區嘅憲制責任，政府同埋立法會都必須盡一切嘅努力去早日完成立法。我亦認同相關嘅立法工作係有必要性同埋急切性，我哋應合力盡快堵塞國家安全嘅缺口。正如行政長官多番表示，早一日完成立法，國家安全就會早一日得到有效嘅維護。因此，作為立法會主席，我係按照議事規則第14(1)同埋2條例嘅規定，喺今日召開咗立法會會議，以盡快履行《基本法》第23條立法嘅重要憲制責任。政府喺今日立法會諮詢文件亦都提到，每個國家都會制定維護國家安全嘅法律。呢個既係主權國家嘅固有權利，亦都係國際嘅慣例。我留意到喺諮詢期間，唔同嘅界別都係積極反映意見。諮詢嘅結果係顯示，就第23條立法係獲得高達98.6%嘅百分比嘅支持，亦都接獲咗好多正面嘅意見。議員亦都係之前嘅小組委員會同埋事務委員會聯席會議上呢，係充分如實反映市民嘅意見，亦向政府提出咗好多具體同埋建設性嘅意見。我相信政府當局會繼續秉持廣攬兼聽嘅精神，細心去參詳議員嘅意見。維護國家安全立法係特區嘅憲制責任，過去27年都未能完成。喺呢個重要嘅時刻，能肩負呢個歷史嘅任務呢，係我哋第7屆立法會係感到光榮嘅，亦係責任重大。全體議員一定係上下一心，全力以赴，審慎審議法案條文，以履行我哋嘅憲制職能，為國家、為香港穩定同埋發展努力。我哋都有信心喺完成制定有效維護國家安全法例之後呢，就能夠全力聚焦發展經濟、改善民生，令一國兩制行穩致遠。我用英文講幾句啦。In the Legislative Council meeting just now, the Safeguarding National Security Bill was introduced into the Council for the first reading and the second reading. The subcommittee to study matters relating to Basic Law Article 23 legislation has been turned into Bills Committee and will commence scrutiny of the bill immediately this afternoon. To legislate for Article 23 of Basic Law is the constitutional duty of the entire Hong Kong SAR. Both the government and LegCo must make every effort to complete the legislation process as soon as possible. I also fully agree that there is a genuine and urgent need for the legislation. We would spare no effort and work together to plug the national security loophole as soon as possible. As the President of LegCo, I call a meeting of the Council today in accordance with Sections 14, bracket 1 and bracket 2 of the Rules of Procedures to fulfill our constitutional duty. As mentioned in the government consultation document, each country enact laws to safeguard national security. It is the inherent right of the sovereign state and the international practice. I have noted that 98.6% of the views support the legislative exercise and gave positive comments. Meanwhile, LegCo members also reflect the views of the people truthfully and gave specific and constructive advice to the government during the meetings of the subcommittees and joint panel. I believe that the government will continue to listen extensively and study carefully members' views to enhance the legislation. Enactment of a legislation to safeguard national security is the constitutional duty of the Hong Kong SAR, and we have failed to do so in the past 27 years. The seventh LegCo is honoured to be able to shoulder this historic mission at this critical juncture, with a view to contributing to the stability and development of the country and Hong Kong. I have every confidence that upon the completion of the legislation for safeguarding national security, the Hong Kong SAR will be able to focus on developing the economy and improving people's livelihood, and ensure the steadfast and successful implementation of one country, two system. 大家有咩問題？
Mr. Lam, when do you expect the legislation to finish? Will you need to hold more special sessions like today to speed up scrutinizing the views?
I think right now the first reading and second reading had just been through. It's up to the Bills Committee to do the work. And I'm sure the Bills Committee will do everything possible to speed up the process. But I think with the legislature, everything is, we have set process. And I think once it finished scrutiny, it go to the House Committee for report, and then we'll then schedule when we'll come back to the LegCo for resumption of second reading and third reading. Why are we rushing? We have, in the bill is necessary to safeguard the national security. We should enact it. If you look at other countries, they enact it in. They enact 15 to 20 laws. So why can't Hong Kong do it in a speedy manner? You tell me. 嗱，而家我哋已經進入一個立法程序，頭先咧就已經係首讀同埋二讀，咁跟住咧就因為我哋已經係開嗰個小組嗰陣時已經講明咧，一去到首讀二讀咧就會轉為一個法案委員會，咁法案委員會主席廖長江議員咧就會同呢個法案委員會咧會盡一切努力去完成呢個工作。立法會嘅工作都係一步一步嘅，咁一定係要法案委員會完成咗之後，去內會彙報，咁然後至可以翻嚟大會。咁我哋係靜候佳音，希望即係廖長江議員同埋所有議員呢係一齊工作。我哋嘅目標都係早一日得一日，咁但係現時係冇死線，亦都冇一個時間表。 我諗當議員知道有一個咁重要嘅法案首讀二讀咧，大家頭先我覺得咧，呢一個都係我哋嘅第7屆立法會嘅光榮。咁大家係盡一切時間去做。我知道有啲議員係已經來往咗北京2次啊，有啲喺外地做緊嘢啊，都漏夜翻嚟嘅。咁呢個係佢嘅責任，亦都我諗係佢哋嘅榮幸。咁我諗你問個別議員點解佢會翻到嚟去做啦咁樣。雖然琴日嘅通知係好急，但係大家都可以講到收到我通知，坐飛機喺北京都翻到嚟啦。
It's workable.
好多謝你咁多。
我哋已經搞掂啦，多謝主席，辛苦你啊！香港辛苦你啊！
我答我啊！佢問 detail 我就答。Sorry
sorry，
我哋啊 ，OK。好。
呢個 comment 都幾難做，我舉足咁耐。
我哋影張相先。好，影張相。舉高。使唔使揸住咁？我哋撳翻低啲喎。講翻低少少，你講翻低少少。好，你講翻低少少。
舉高啲先。好。民建聯全力支持。
係咪可以啦？好，唔該。各位媒體嘅朋友，各位香港市民，各位民建聯嘅支持者，民建聯呢係全力支持特區政府向立法會提交維護國家安全條例草案，以全面落實基本法23條同埋528決定，仲有國安法規定香港嘅憲制責任，確保香港可以早日維護國家安全。民建聯係會積極參與草案委員會嘅審議工作，希望能夠盡快完成立法，讓特區政府可以有效咁應對各種嘅國安風險同埋威脅，保障我哋香港市民嘅安全。民建聯係深信早一日完成立法，保齊國家安全嘅短板，香港先能夠集中精力拼經濟、謀發展，更好咁發揮香港嘅獨特優勢同埋地位，早日實現呢個由治及興嘅目標。我哋認為條例草案係符合咗2個國際人權公約，充分保障咗市民嘅權利同埋自由，確保財產同埋投資係受到法律嘅保護。我哋認為條文呢係寫得非常之仔細同埋清晰，精準咁針對危害國家安全嘅行為，市民係無需憂慮會誤墮法網。另外，我哋睇到草案亦都大量咁借鑑普通法國家嘅立法經驗，同時亦都係考慮到香港實際嘅需要，有效咁維護咗本港嘅國際金融中心嘅地位、營商環境同埋對外嘅聯繫，同時亦都係有力咁樣駁斥咗美西方反華勢力對23條立法嘅抹黑。特區政府喺啟動基本法23條立法嘅工作之後，係用心盡責，負責嘅官員喺公眾諮詢期間，積極咁向社會各界解釋立法嘅建議，迅速咁反駁咗各種造謠同埋抹黑，澄清咗誤解，並且係喺短時間之內對公眾諮詢期間收集到嘅大量意見進行咗分析同埋回應。積極咁吸納咗唔少嘅市民意見，修訂同埋完善咗立法嘅建議，為立法會迅速有效進行審議打下咗一個良好。23條立法係香港社會各界強大嘅共識同埋意願，我哋會喺立法會裏面全力以赴，確保有關嘅立法工作及早妥善完成。多謝各位。睇下大家有冇啲咩提問。 之後請你講。
Why this? Do you think that residents will remain worried or concerned when Article 23 is scrutinized in a quite speedy manner? And
Well, first of all, we support the government for introducing the Safeguarding National Security Bill into Electoral just now for first reading and second reading. And the Bills Committee will start scrutinizing the bill as soon as possible. We believe that we should spare no effort to get the laws enacted as soon as possible, because the sooner we can plug the loopholes on, safeguarding the national security, the better we are. And then we can focus on develop our economy. And I should also stress that the legislation on Article 23 will make sure that our law is complying with the international covenants on protecting human rights. And the law is also to safeguard the interests of Hong Kong people, to protect our business environment, and to safeguard our own prosperity. So we stress again, right now the Bills Committee will start working on scrutinizing the bill. We believe that the government and ourselves will work together to get the laws enacted as soon as possible. Well, I think everybody noticed that we have done a public consultation, and in the course of the public consultation, myself, our colleagues have reached out to different people, including business community, and they support the legislation of Article 23. And I don't believe that there is any kind of genuine concern from the business community about the things that you said. But I hear that there are some Western pundits and also some Western governments, they did it on purpose to smear our law on Article 23. So what we believe is right now we're going to scrutinize the bill as soon as possible. And we believe that in the course of scrutinizing the bill, we'll submit our opinion to the government to make sure that at the end of the day, the Article 23 legislation will definitely comply with. One more thing, you see a lot of Western governments, even the United States, they have very draconian laws on safeguarding national security. And I see that the Western pundits and Western government, when they try to smear us, I urge them to first take a look at their own national security laws.
我諗議員呢，其實喺個議會裏面，大家都有個共識，就係一路都講話23條立法呢應該係盡早去進行，盡速去完成。所以我哋琴日喺下晝4點零鐘收到主席嘅通知，話今日召開呢個特別嘅大會呢，其實大家都係好興奮，亦都係充滿期待咁樣去翻嚟參與呢個會議。即使係喺遠道喺北京翻嚟嘅兩會嘅代表，佢哋亦都係非常之樂意。而事實上面呢，我哋喺過去嘅2-3個禮拜裏面呢，我哋都有一個工作小組係就住23條立法呢不斷咁去討論，同埋係聽取市民嘅意見啦。咁所以我覺得今次嘅立法工作呢，其實係合乎社會同埋合乎議員大家之間嘅預期。至於你話幾時或者會唔會有一個目標，什麼時候去完成呢個立法工作？我相信我哋嘅同事係會喺個法案委員會裏面呢係盡快，亦都係盡責地去詳細去審議嗰個法例，希望能夠盡早完成嗰個工作，再交俾大會去進行投票同埋表決。唔該。勇哥眼鏡。
好，我哋工聯會都回應幾句有關個立法。我哋先一陣影咗相。 中間
中間。有啊有啊，天天喺度。
好，左邊。
中間先，中間先。好。
左邊。
左邊咯。
好。
右邊咯，右邊。哦，右邊先嚇。
左邊俾多次。好，各位市民、各位傳媒嘅朋友，大家早晨。工聯會全體嘅立法會議員呢，就出席咗頭先立法會嘅大會。政府咧就喺個大會上面咧係提交咗呢個維護國家安全條例嘅草案。工聯會咧係非常歡迎政府咧係及時咁樣去提交呢個嘅草案。呢個係顯示即係全體香港市民、立法會議員、政府對於我哋落實基本法23條呢個嘅憲制責任嘅一個意志嘅體現嚟嘅。頭先立法會議員咧都全體見咗即係傳媒，工聯會咧都喺呢度咧係再次重申，我哋係全力支持即係嗰個嘅立法嘅進程。我哋亦都咧對於政府所採取嘅呢個嘅措施，盡快提交上嚟立法會，係表示歡迎嘅。我哋亦都認為有關嘅條例草案呢，佢係充分去聽取咗市民嘅意見，喺呢個諮詢嘅過程當中吸納咗市民嘅意見，亦都咧係符合嗰個國際人權公約，符合咧我哋嘅有關法律嘅要求，包括基本法、我哋嗰個嘅人大嘅決定同埋香港國安法嘅決定，亦都係符合立法嘅一啲國際慣例，符合普通法嘅一啲做法，亦都係符合香港嘅實際嘅情況，能夠更加好咧維護好香港市民嘅基本嘅權利，令到社會得到安寧，令到香港咧嘅各種合法嘅活動咧能夠去有所保障，以至到發展我哋嘅經濟，改善民，全力以赴嚟到參與有關嘅立法嘅工作。我哋亦都咧希望喺呢個過程當中咧能夠即係順利嚟到進行，唔會咧受到即係反華反香港嘅勢力咧嘅一啲干擾。我哋希望咧全體嘅市民能夠團結一致嚟到去確實真真切切嚟到去做好我哋今次嘅立法嘅工作，令香港社會喺呢個維護國家安全上面咧係有法可依，令到咧我哋香港能夠更加好聚焦發展經濟、改善民生。呢度咧就係工聯會表達嘅態度，睇睇有冇一啲咩問題。
Do you think residents will remain worried or concerned when Article 23 is scrutinized in such a speedy manner?
榮欣，你講唔講？
First of all, we must emphasize that it's been 27 years. What we're concerned is that the legislative process has not been quick enough. I think we must not view the legislative process in a predetermined manner or in any prejudice, because we could see from the international example as exemplified by the United States. The U.S. Patriots Act was passed in 45 days from the passage to the introduction to the bill. The whole process only took 45 days. This is the speed we talked about when we legislate any acts concerning legislative council or the national security. So in this such manner, we could also see that we have reached the biggest consensus when we talk about the legislation process. As we see from the consultation period, almost 99% of the local residents supported the legislative process of Article 23. So I think we have a big enough consensus to introduce the bill in the Legislative Council as early as possible. The earlier we have the act passed, the earlier we could focus and concentrate on economic development, which is the first priority we could see from the general consensus.
有關時間問題咧，我覺得我哋要再強調咧，香港咧係已經用咗27年嘅時間嚟到去醖釀，嚟到去即係或者係錯過咗好多嘅時間啊。進程當中咧，亦都係受咗唔少嘅干預嘅。即係換言之咧，我哋所面對嘅國家安全風險咧，係仍然非常之嚴峻嘅。啊，換言之，如果我哋再面對多一日呢啲風險咧，都延長嘅。咁所以我哋希望能夠盡快立法。我哋亦都會盡力配合政府以至到立法有關嘅程序。全力咧去審議，早一日能夠通過。我睇大家都經歷過19年嘅暴亂、顏色革命，以至到最近美國政府、國務院又好，佢哋嘅政客又好，以至到美國嘅總領事，都喺通過各種嘅口述或者係動作嚟到去阻撓香港嘅立法啊！所以呢啲嘅企圖究竟係代表乜嘢呢？企圖佢哋想要繼續危害我哋香港嘅安寧，想要做滲透嗎？如果佢哋係呢種咁嘅企圖，我覺得我哋更加需要盡快立法。呢個係我哋工聯會以至到所有立法會議員、所有市民嘅使命所在啊，不容有失。仲有，係。有關嘅條文呢，其實大家如果再細心睇呢，係好清晰嘅。你係一個咩組織，你做咗啲咩事情？如果係維護國家危害國家安全嘅話，佢係會受到有關法律嘅制裁，即係懲治。但如果佢係普通一個正常嘅，唔係有企圖去搞滲透、搞破壞、搞叛亂嘅話，呢啲嘅組織係可以即係好正常地，係唔會令到正常嘅活動、正常嘅組織嘅存在嘅。至於有關嘅煽動叛亂嗰個嘅條文呢，其實現行我哋喺法律上面呢，都已經或者喺法庭嘅審判上面呢，已經係做咗呢方面嘅一啲嘅動作啊！即係換言之，有關條文所講嘅唔需要講明咩意圖，呢個係慣例嘅做法嚟嘅。 唔係一個新嘅做法。好，唔該晒。
唔該晒。
我喺人大政協咧嚟到參與今日嘅會議咧，係出於一種使命擔當嚟嘅。Thank you。
各位，我喺呢度好想同大家簡單講講咧，係獨立議員嚟講，作為我何君堯咧就係好支持呢一個維護國家安全條例草案。個原因係好清晰嘅，就係基本法係我哋已經有所説明，23條咧係香港特區係要自行立法。咁跟住咧就等咗好耐之後咧，去到2023年，去到2020年6月30號咧，人大常委根據呢一個人大528嘅決定咧，就立咗《港區維護國家安全法》，當中裏邊第7條説明咗咧，特區政府應當盡早完成呢一個國家安全嘅立法工作。由當時開始咧，我哋以呢一個已經係法律上再嚟説明一次，係特區政府嘅唔單止憲制責任，亦都係法律上嘅責任添。咁就亦都已經係有好幾年嘅準備。今天終於係嚟到草案呢一個出台裏邊咧，我而家睇到係比較完善嘅一個法規。咁所以我睇到咧，亦都係表示歡迎同埋好高興。喺目前嚟講咧，就立法會裏邊同事咧係上下一心，就係瞄住呢一個目標進發，希望可以香港咧能夠早日回歸呢一個正道啦，喺各方面嘅氣氛下邊得到明確嘅一個安排，特別喺國家安全方面受到保障咧。咁我哋賴以有咁嘅穩健嘅基礎，就搞好我哋嘅經濟。咁呢個係我哋應該要做，無論政治又好，經濟又好咧，兩者之間咧互相關係咧係好清晰，咁所以咧就我呢度同大家表述下呢一點。有必要嘅時候咧，我哋亦都會係作為香港嘅立法會成員，甚至乎每一位香港嘅市民咧，都要喺呢一方面咧作出嘅支持啦，亦都係講解好有關呢條例嘅內容。所以喺唔同嘅場合，包括喺國際嘅舞台上邊啦、聯合國等等啦，咁呢個亦都我會稍後咧就會去喺嗰個場合裏邊咧，有機會就同大家係解釋下有關呢條例嘅嗰個主旨同內容嘅。多謝各位。好。Remain in what? Sorry, I beg your pardon. I didn't catch it. No, I don't think that it has been moved in such a fast pace. Actually, this bill has been long outstanding for years. If we all remember, cast our memory back to 2003, and that was the crucial time when we were about to enact the Hong Kong National Security Ordinance, but for reason that was incomprehensible at that moment. It was aborted. Then after 2019, the Black Clad riots, the whole nation, the whole country saw the Hong Kong situation with the clear picture. So therefore, on 28th of May 2020, the Hong Kong National Security Act was passed by the National Security by the MPCSC, in which Article 7 it clearly states that Hong Kong SAR should proceed to complete the national security law and on an ASAP basis. Now, how do you comprehend the ASAP basis? If you take into account of the speed of the state in enacting the Hong Kong National Security Act, which was completed within just less than 5 weeks' time, then you can imagine, from that point onward up to now, the present day today, the 8th of March, It has been already 4 years. 4 years. So therefore, I don't think that we have been moving it in a great haste. We're not hastening it through. Actually, due consideration have been given, and consultation has had once been made, and it was renewed just last month. So therefore, I think we have been moving towards cautiously and without any so-called in great hurry. But of course, when we come to the point in enacting it, if we could do it as expeditiously as possible, and that proves our determination, and also the solidarity as well. Thank you.
Mr. Ho, you've talked about wanting to enact this ASAP. When do you expect the law to be finally passed? Can you give us a date or at least a time frame?
Well, I don't have the schedule in hand, but judging, just a wild guess, I think given the swift action and also the quick response by my colleagues who serve in the Article 23 bill committee, they are going to have 4 hours discussion today, and they will continue to do so tomorrow. In browsing through altogether 500 something odd pages of the blue paper, the bill, I would imagine, sometime it could be meaningful that, if we could enact it sometime before the middle of April. But that is my personal guess. But just judging from the efficiency, the efficacy that they are now performing, I don't think that it would take too much time to finish it. So therefore, maybe the middle of April would be a realistic guess. Thank you. 好，多謝各位啊。
Mr. Ho, sorry, one more question. So there are different degrees of imprisonment proposed in the bill, such as life imprisonment for prison. So what do you think of this kind of penalty?
Well, this sort of the penalty is already a very common feature. I don't think that Hong Kong should be singled out for that and to be commented that we are imposing very harsh penalty, which is not in line with the international standard. No, in fact, if you look into some of the Western countries, for example, some states in the United States, even the death penalty could be imposed. So life imprisonment is common occurrence in Hong Kong. Is nothing unusual about it. If you look at the GBS, grievous bodily harm, GBH, assault occasioning grievous bodily harm, a person who has been charged and convicted for that offence, which is a very imprisonment in the context of the national security law, I think it is all very ordinary and reasonable. The gist of the entire act is to deterrent and to make a deterrence against all this acts which may jeopardize the national interests and especially security. Thank you. 好，冇其他問題，多謝各位。大會主席同埋我哋嘅同事工作咧，都係有佢哋嘅嗰個節奏。咁但係我剛才講咧嗰個純粹我自己個人嘅嗰個估計，按照目前我哋嘅速度同埋嗰個成效咧，同埋而家團結一致去推動呢個工作咧，如果4月15號係一個我哋國家安全日一個日子，能夠可以啟動呢一個完成咗香港嘅國家安全法，而家呢一條就係我哋叫做維護國家安全條例。咁我覺得係一個幾理想嘅日子咯。所以4月15號星期六定星期日你忘記咗，但係嗰個 effective date， 咁你 cast 翻轉頭少少，咁嗰個係可能係11、12、13定我唔記得咗啦。你 check 個 calendar 啦。咁嗰個4月嘅星期3、星期4嚟二讀、三讀恢復二讀係咪幾理想啊？幾令人哋振奮啊？係嘛？即係我咁樣估計嘅，純粹估計，好嘛？Thank you， 多謝。